Great. Well, good morning. I'm John McEwen with the New Jersey Theater Alliance, and thank you so much for joining us for today's Cultural Access Roundtable. This is a new topic, accessibility for community participation events. We talk so often about our main stage shows, our exhibits, main performances and offerings that we all provide, but we don't often talk about all the community work that we all do, classes and workshops, and how do we want to make sure that those offerings are accessible. So that's going to be the topic for today. As you know, these are peer-to-peer conversations, so we're happy to have two colleagues with us today that are going to jumpstart the conversation, but we always learn from each other. So we encourage uh, comments. You can drop those in the chat and questions, but we're looking forward to a really rich conversation. I just like to start with a visual description of myself. I am a cis male with white male with brown and gray hair parted on the side, a mustache and goatee. I wear glasses. The eye frames are clear and the leg frames are a bright blue. Today I'm wearing kind of an orange and red checkered button down shirt. I have a blurred background and I'm coming to you today from Asbury Park, New Jersey, land of the Lenni Lenape, and my preferred pronouns are he, his, him. And I'm delighted to say good morning to Kat Lilly. Good morning, Kat.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kat Lilly. I'm the Access Coordinator with the New Jersey Theater Alliance. I have brown hair that's pulled up on top of my head into a bun. I'm a white female in my early 40s, and today I'm wearing my blue and purple framed cat eye glasses and a pink and black long sleeve sweater. I have a blurred background, and I'm coming to you from Medford, New Jersey, also the land of the Lenni Lenape. And I'm letting you know that I will be monitoring chat today for your questions. If I react with a little thumbs up, it means I have seen your question. There are a lot of people here, and we will try our best to get to every single question that we can. If we cannot, then we can put you in touch with our presenters today, our speakers today. Absolutely no problems there. And so thank you. We look forward to a great roundtable.
Great. Thanks, Kat. And I do want to just say greetings from Lindsay Dandio with the New Jersey State Arts Council, who unfortunately is not able to join us today, but she just wanted to send her greetings to all of you and wishing everyone a great conversation. And we're so happy to have our two colleagues joining us today to share about their experiences and their organization and their programs. So I'm going to have them each introduce themselves, and I'm going to start off with a good morning to Rachel. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. As John mentioned, my name is Rachel Aponte. I'm the Director of Education and Community Engagement at the Visual Arts Center of New Jersey in Summit. I am a cisgender Hispanic woman with long, dark brown hair. I have kind of oversized glasses that have green frames. I don't have a blurred background. You see a painting of a guitar, a brown guitar with a teal background, and a white wall and some plants also in my background. And I'm wearing a dark green blazer with a black t-shirt underneath. I think those were all the things. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Glad you're with us. Hi, Karen.
Hi, this is Karen Coyle, and I work for Arc Mercer. I am a cisgender white woman, and I have shoulder length brown hair and bangs, and I'm wearing a light pink shirt. I work in Mercer County in Trenton, but today I'm coming to you from Yardley, Pennsylvania, which I believe is also the land of the Lenni Lenape.
Wonderful. Well, so delighted to have both of you with us, and we thank you so much for kicking off this conversation. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the first time that we've been offering this topic. So I'm really excited to hear about your organizations and your programming and having great conversation with our colleagues today as we think about the community offerings that each of us provide in our programming. It's not just the main stage theater pieces or the concerts or the main exhibit in our galleries. We all do such incredible work that we offer the community, and we want to make sure that those offerings are accessible as well. So, Rachel, I'm going to start with you. If you could just give us some background on the Visual Arts Center and kind of an overview of your community programming and share with us some of the accessible offerings that you implement for those offerings.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I'm at the Visual Arts Center of New Jersey in Summit. So for those of you that are not familiar, we have kind of three different main things that we do here. One being we are a museum and exhibition space. We don't have any permanent collections, so our exhibitions are rotating with kind of two major shows happening, one in the fall and one in the spring, and three main gallery spaces. We are also a studio school, so we offer classes and workshops on a seasonal semester basis. So it usually in the fall, winter, and spring, where a lot of adult classes with a handful of kids starting at age 5, classes in the afternoon and evening slots. And then in the summer, it gets completely flipped and it's all about summer camp with a handful of adult classes in our evening and weekend slots. And then the kind of the third arm of what we do is my arm, the community programming. So our community programs fall into also a couple different categories. We have our public programs that are usually connected to exhibitions. So things like artist talks, performances, panel discussions, things like that. We also partner with various organizations. Some of them are in that kind of K through 12 category, so schools and organizations that serve youth. Um, and then we have art and healing programs. So these are programs that are aimed at art as a tool for healing as opposed to a skill building base. Not to say that people don't build skills in these programs, but that's not the main goal. And that's a pretty just general overview. The Art Center has been here for 90 plus years now. So it's a pretty has some roots here in Summit, and the community programming aspect of it kind of started in the, I would say in the early 2000s, so it's probably the newest arm. It's always been a studio space. We've always had classes. That's kind of how it started. Was a group of artists that wanted a studio space, and from there, grew into what it is now. And we offer a couple of different access accommodations. Both in our studio school, in our community programs, and as well as in our exhibition spaces. And I think, just to point to a couple of things that we do in our studio school specifically, accommodations are really tailored to the person who needs them. So we try to, in our registration, when people are registering for classes, we do include a question that says, tell us of any, tell us what you need. We try to frame it in a way that doesn't sound like, it would be an issue, and more so just like, we want to prepare for your arrival. We want to make sure that we have what you need. So things that have come out of that, sorry, I have my notes in front of me here. We've had, students that we had a student that had a custom wheelchair who couldn't sit comfortably at one of the standing easels because her chair had to be put to the side of the easel. So we were able to find a rolling stand iPad holder that we modified to hold her canvas. And that, again, very tailored specifically to that student. We offer ceramics classes here at the Art Center. So we have a wheel that is a lower height to be able to accommodate, again, those individuals who are in a wheelchair or have difficulty getting in and out of stools and things like that. We also now have a rolling stool so that students don't have to get up and down from their chair. We've had students with vision loss who want to do art camps, so we bought raised drawing boards so that their projects could be closer and easier for them to see. Um, they could be two-dimensional or tactile projects as well. We are now in the process of creating specialty access bags with specialty supplies, things like scissors for people that have trouble gripping or have grip strength issues, over-the-ear headphones for those people that maybe have sensory issues. We're also certified by Culture City, if anyone is familiar with the Culture City organization. So we do complete that training every year, and we do have a quiet space here at the Art Center, as well as the Culture City access bags. So those are a few things. I have so much more to also just address access in terms of like economic access. We do offer scholarships for any ages, children and adults. That has an application process on our website. We have that application in Spanish and in English. I am a Spanish speaker, so those applications that come to us in Spanish, I'm usually their point of contact. As well as I have programs that work with constituents who are just recently re-entering society after being incarcerated for a period of time. Oftentimes, so we offer an art therapy program, two different art therapy programs, and oftentimes, there is the issue of transportation. So for those programs, we do offer Uber vouchers for the program administrators to be able to set up rides for those participants that need them. And that I'm hoping to be able to offer more broadly right now is specific to those programs. As we know, funding is always a factor. So, right now it's limited to those two programs, but we are hoping to be able to offer that more broadly. Um, I'll pause there. There's more, but I'll pause there.
Yeah. Just before we move on to Karen, Rachel, some folks may not be familiar with Culture City,
Oh,
so could
yes.
you just do just a quick because I'm sure we have several other visual arts organizations on
Yeah.
today's call. So love to just if you just lift up what Culture City is for folks.
Yeah, so Culture City is an organization that offers training and certification on sensory accessibility and acceptance. So they offer different types of trainings and programming depending on, your organization. But we every year, I believe it has to be like 30% of our staff takes this training, and it's just ways to, again, be sensitive and inclusive to those people that have sensory differences. Having things like a quiet space in your organization, if you are an organization that has people coming into your building,
Mm.
having that available and having that very clearly marked, having the sensory access bags with things like those over-the-ear headphones with fidget toys, things like that. And again, they do different types of training and certifications. We usually go with their online training route, but I know that you can also have them come to your space as well and do kind of an assessment where they can give you feedback on ways to address these sensory needs and make your space more sensory friendly.
That's great. And maybe we can drop the link to Culture City. Maybe we can drop that in the chat. for folks? Because I know there's a few organizations in our state. I believe the Zimmerly Art Museum has done this as well. So really, it's a great program. So thank you for lifting that up. Yeah. Hello, Karen. Thanks for joining us. So looking forward to hearing about the Arc of Mercer.
Yes, so I work with Arc Mercer. We're a residential and day program for adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities in Mercer County. I work primarily with the day program as the arts community engagement manager. At our day program, we're providing a safe and secure space for our individuals to spend their day, but our goal is always to provide community access as well as activities that can help them build new skills that could provide new opportunities and pathways for them. I work primarily with the visual arts, so teaching drawing, painting, pottery, photography. We are always trying to provide new activities and new skills that they can be building, but we also we have music classes and drama classes, cooking, career building. Our goal is always really to keep providing new opportunities to go out into the community with or without us. So access is really kind of our everyday. Are we providing a space that can be physically like offer opportunities for all of our clients to join, whether they're in wheelchairs or walkers or may have limited mobility. But then also, are we providing spaces that feel secure for those with sensory needs? And then within our lessons, are we providing lessons that are everyone can participate in, no matter what maybe their cognitive abilities are? Um, so that's really kind of what we're doing every day within our own spaces, and then going out into new community spaces as well and trying to provide that.
That's great. So if you could both touch upon, because you are with the various classes, instruction that you're offering, what kind of training, when you're thinking about your instructors, right? Your teaching artists, what are you looking for when you interview them to ensure that they have the understanding that they are able to um, make adjustments to make sure that all participants in those community outreach opportunities feel welcomed, feel heard, are accommodated? So, because it's so important, right, that the folks that we're bringing in, even instructors within our own organizations, to make sure that they do have the training to be welcoming to all. So, I'd love each of you to just touch upon how you ensure that any instructors have the tools and the knowledge to ensure that anyone taking a course, participating, that that instructor is prepared. So, Rachel, do you want to maybe start us off and let us know the process that the center takes?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll start with those teachers that maybe were, I mean, as I said, the Art Center is a 90 plus year old organization. So, and we do have instructors that have been with us, some for 30 plus years. So, for those instructors that have been here for a really long time, and maybe when they were hired, this wasn't necessarily a focus, we do offer, trainings every year that we try to tailor based on what we're seeing in our population, the needs of our students. So for example, I know last year we did a training on how to work sensitively with people that are dealing with memory loss issues. We have a lot of
Mm.
elders in our student population, especially, as I said, in those main kind of seasonal semesters of fall, winter, spring, where we do offer a lot of adult classes. So making sure that those trainings are offered every year. This year we are doing a training with you guys in the Theater Alliance in April, and that's going to be for our front desk staff, our those frontline staff members that are the first point of contact with anybody walking through our doors. Um, we are also for those teachers that are being hired now, one, making sure experience is varied. So yes, we're hiring teaching artists, so yes, they have to be artists, but making sure that there's a kind of a variety in experience, and variety meaning in the populations that they've worked with. And if that's not there, making sure that there's that openness. When we are onboarding people, also have a training video that they watch during the onboarding process about our cultural competency, and how important it is here at the Art Center for us to be culturally sensitive, and not just meaning culturally in terms of heritage, but just in terms of thinking about a well-rounded approach to our student base. We have all types of students that come here. We do in our catalogs and in all our programming, or all our communications for our programming, try to stress that our classes are for all abilities, and then try to do our due diligence in making sure that if we do have someone that mentions an accommodation that they may need, that we're reaching out to them directly, and then reaching out to our teacher to let them know that you're going to have a student with this need in your class. How can we help you? How can we help you be best equipped to accommodate this student? And sometimes that means, having an extra aide in the class, having an extra teaching aide, especially for those younger age groups. We usually have a teaching aide in the classroom anyway, but if we know that there's a student that is going to need a little bit more attention, we will go ahead and bring in an aide that will be more specifically working with that student. And for my community programs, because I know what population my programs are specific to the organization, or a specific group, I can very clearly in job description say I am looking for a person with this experience with this population. So for me, in my end, it is a little bit easier in that regard, because I can be very specific as to my needs. We are also in the process of creating a kind of resource handbook for all of our teaching instructors, whether it be in our studio
Mm.
school or with our community programs, that will have resources, different organizations, different websites, different resources that our teachers can go to if they feel like they want to do a little extra, or they need a little extra support there. So myself and our director of studio school are working on that this summer, so that we can make that available to all of our teaching artists.
That's great, great. Karen, what about the ARC and how you work and what you're looking for in the artists that you contract?
Yeah, so I think to work within the ARC, there is always extensive training, um, just to work there in general. On the job, when we are working with our staff that might be leading classes or teaching some of our workshops, we always really stress that the best way to provide the care is to really have individual connection with all of our participants. I think that is one of the biggest factors to providing kind of any kind of accessibility, is that each person is really different, and taking the time to really connect with them and learn their needs is really the most important aspect, no matter what you are teaching or what activity you're providing for the day. And when we're sending our clients out into community spaces where they might be working with teaching artists, that aren't directly linked to us, we're always sending them out there with, excuse me, sending them out there with staff that will know their needs as well, so that they will have many support staff with them that can help to step in and train those teachers as they're teaching as to what those individuals might need. I think when we are looking at spaces where they might be going to work or participate, we're always looking for a space that is able to provide um, a place that will feel somewhat secure or may provide quiet and understanding. I think that is probably one of our biggest factors is someone who can see that, some of our clients' needs might come out as loud or they might be something that um, not everyone is used to seeing, and that we can sense when we have a nice partnership and understanding from that organization.
Great. You both touched upon this a little bit, but maybe just to share a little bit about how you are proactive in letting the public know that your community programming is really available for everyone, that regardless of, and to encourage individuals that have a particular need in order to fully participate, that you're encouraging everyone um, to to take advantage of the community programming that you're offering. So, Rachel, just in terms of marketing, proactiveness in really getting out there to the community to ensure that everyone knows that these classes are really available to everyone, and the center is here to accommodate. So,
Yeah, I for our studio school classes, it is we try to mention it in as many places as possible, whether it be our catalog, which we still have a paper catalog that gets printed and sent out. And making sure also that, we have all of our like our visuals that say, we accommodate physical, for physical get like moving around our space. We also will note when there are classes that can, like when we have a teacher that speaks another language. So that is also noted in our catalog. If we have a teacher, for example, that I believe we have a teacher that speaks Russian, so that'll say it in the thing in the catalog, so that any student signing up for it can see like, oh, this teacher can, I mean, Spanish is the more popular one, but this teacher can speak Spanish, and I particularly work with a lot of students that are Spanish speaking and are newer to our community. So trying to make sure that they know, like when they're coming through here, they can speak to me in their language, and I will communicate effectively. Sometimes they still want to go ahead and practice their English, which I love, but it's made clear that that will not be a barrier. Um, we also, as I said, when people are registering, we do ask that question of, please let us know if there are any special accommodations we should be aware of, and what your needs are. Unfortunately, people don't always feel comfortable sharing. So we do sometimes have the issue of realizing kind of halfway through a class that a student does have an accommodation that we weren't made aware of. And our studio school is really great of at noting that, and then reaching out to say, how can we make this a better experience, or how can we make sure that you're having, the same experience as the rest of the class? How can we make this a good experience for you? And then and then putting in place that accommodation. So as I said, we've had students that needed either a special physical accommodation or needed that extra aid, that extra attention in the classroom. And then for my community programs, in terms of being proactive, I know for our programs that work with people who have been formerly incarcerated, we put those Uber vouchers in place at the very beginning before the program had even launched. That was kind of in those initial conversations. So that has been in place from the beginning, because one of our staff members pointed out, wait, this is going to be a struggle for people to be, if they don't have a license, or if they're sharing a vehicle, or, things like that. So that was something that was it was a proactive. I'm trying to think what else. I think those are kind of the main kind of proactive things that we're doing. And then again, just trying to respond to feedback as we get it. We've had organizations like the Vision Loss Alliance come to do a tour and art making, and then they offered feedback, which we were so happy to get, because you only know what you know, right? So we
Mhm.
were able to then implement some of their feedback. And one of the big things was, we had a sliding glass clear door that they noted it was really hard to know where the door is, because there was no clear kind of framing there. Because we were already planning on installing a new door at some point, when the time came to do that, that was feedback that we took into account. And now our doors are no longer those clear sliding doors. They are framed doors that you can see. You can see the framing of. They're dark. So it's easier for those people with low vision, as well as grip tape on our around our pedestals, and grip tape with high vis on our stair treads. Um, so that is feedback that we got directly from working with Vision Loss Alliance, and we're able to apply to our building.
hmm I think it's so the feedback and the engagement of individuals that you're looking to serve is so important, right? And the consistent assessment, right? So, Karen, how about just in terms of spreading the word, letting folks know about proactively again about what the ARC is offering, what you're willing to offer? If you could speak to that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so many of our services within the day program may be limited just to the participants that are enrolled in the programming, but we
Hmm
do have recreational events where we, intentionally really try to go out into the community to um, kind of show what we've been doing, and to also give a chance for maybe some of our clients to be working with the community. We have several art shows throughout the year where we will put up their artwork and invite the community to come and see what they've been making, or we might go and work at festivals, or like events in the community where we have a table and we have artwork that we're actively working on in the community, and we'll invite them to come and work on it with us as well. So a lot of our promotion is kind of done in the moment during the programming that we're doing outside in the community, and always inviting people to come and work with us if they have some ideas or programming that they think our clients might enjoy. And then when we're within the program and we have, many participants, the way that we're encouraging them to maybe try one of our activities is again to like really take the time to see what their interests are, or and working with them or working with their guardian if they're not able to express that to us, to see what it is that they would really like to enjoy, or if for some reason they're not enjoying something, to try to find out why, or if there's a way we can help them to continue it, or just to stop doing it if they really don't, like painting, or whatever it may be.
Great. And how about in the evaluation, the assessment of your programs and getting feedback, especially from those participants that have a disability? What does that look like? What is your evaluation feedback process like? What elements might be formal, what's a little bit more informal? And then I'm just curious, we always promote the importance of advisory boards at organizations, whether you have one of your own or you might be sharing an advisory board with some other cultural organizations within your community. So just to talk a little bit about the assessment and the engagement uh, of your programs and getting the feedback from the participants. Rachel, if you want to, I'm doing a definitely a ping pong here, right? So, well, Rachel, if you want to let us know what you do at the center.
Yeah, so we do have a DEI and ADA committee here at the Art Center made up of staff and community members. So we are actually in the process of making our goals for this next this next fiscal year that we'll be entering in the summer. And in terms of the programs and classes themselves, we do surveys for all of our classes and all of our programs. As we know, surveys aren't always the best way. People only fill them out when either they love things or they hate things, and there's not a lot of in
Mhm.
between. So outside of surveys, it's really, the feedback that we're getting from our teachers, for my programs, the what I'm seeing in real time, and again, feedback from our partner organizations or our teaching artists that are facilitating these programs. As I mentioned before, kind of the Uber vouchers was something that came from a staff member. So it's really utilizing all of the resources and brain power that we have around us, and making sure that we are not like limiting who we're hearing from, right? We try to ask. As I mentioned, with Vision Loss Alliance, they approached us to do a tour in art making, and then gave us feedback and we were really happy that we didn't want them to feel pressured to give us feedback, right? We didn't want them to feel like they were just here for us to get feedback, but they willingly gave us feedback without us asking. And it was perfect because we were able to implement some of the things that they mentioned, in that. And now we are once again having them come this spring to again do a tour in art making, and hopefully they'll be able to see the changes that we've made, based off of the feedback that they gave us. So I'm always looking for new ways, and it's really just communication again with our partner organizations, with our teaching artists and art therapists facilitating, and listening to our students when they come to us, because we do have students that will come to us and give us feedback as well, and making sure that we're addressing that and taking that seriously.
Right. I love the Uber voucher program. Could you just, how does that work and how, because I know you're doing it right now for
Yeah.
two specific programs,
Yeah.
right? So how does that work for those that might want to investigate that?
Yeah, so it's, I think, pretty user friendly. So I created a business account with Uber, just so that I have a personal account, but obviously don't want to use that for this. And what I always do is, if you go just to the Uber website, you can kind of search vouchers, and it'll show you the step by step of how to create that voucher. So you put a certain amount on it. You can dictate like the dates that it's valid for. So I usually will do a voucher for like a month long. And then you can then select who has access to use those funds. Because I'm doing it with very specific programs, the partner administrator, the administrator of our partner organization, is usually the person that I will give. It's myself and that person have permissions to set up rides. And so once the voucher is created and the dates and administrator are kind of locked in, then they're able to schedule rides throughout that date, that set time. So every month I'll create a new one for, that the next kind of scale of the program. And then it just works that way. You can, like I said, you set an amount, so it's very easy to make sure that you're staying within whatever budget you have for that. And it also allows the administrators on the partner programs and to know like this is what we have to, what we have to play with, what we have to work with. I have very luckily, we've never come close to to maxing out a voucher at any point. But it's pretty user friendly. And then you also get, at the end of each month, you get kind of a breakdown of how much funds were used and all of that. So it's really nice, and you get the analytics as well, which is I know for grant funding and stuff like that is always very useful.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm really
Great.
happy that we've been able to do that. And as I said, I hope that at some point we can do it a little more broadly.
Yeah, because we know that transportation, right, is such a challenge. And public transportation is not, it's great if you're going one direction or the other, New
Yes.
York or Philly. But within the state, it's quite the challenge. So this is such a great, I think, a really great idea that you're doing. So that's great. Thank you so much. So, Karen, just in terms of assessment and feedback and engagement from
Yeah.
from all your participants, but certainly you want to ensure that the services that you are offering those with disabilities, that you're getting that
Yes.
assessment.
Yeah, I think we try to do it in many different capacities. We're checking in with our parents and guardians on a regular basis every month to make
Hmm.
sure to see, sometimes our clients may not feel comfortable sharing things with us, but they might share it with their guardian. So making sure that we're checking in with them to see that we're providing the best services. We also, within the classrooms are always there to listen and to encourage our clients to be expressing their needs. I know within my own classes, there will be times where I will try to kind of practice that as well. Ask my clients to kind of practice telling me if they didn't like something, because sometimes that is a skill that needs to be built as well. And then we also have many different committees within our staff, making sure that we're checking in with the staff that may be spending more time with them than, myself as a manager, I do get to teach most days, but I might not know exactly what's happening in all the classrooms. So making sure that we're also checking in and meeting with our staff to see what feedback they can provide as to what's working and what's not working.
Great. So the chat has been a little quiet. I thank Kat so much for dropping in some of the great resources that have come up, but would really love to hear from all of you if, certainly any questions that you have, but also we're here to learn from each other. So other some of your experiences with your community events, what have you found has been working? If any of you are having some challenges and just need some advice from your colleagues. That's the beauty of these conversations. So I see Ellen has her hand raised. Good morning, Ellen.
Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, I have
Good,
a
and you?
question. Good. I have a question for both of you. With your outreach, do you have a regional limit? Like, do you only work within your county? Do you go statewide? In terms of community engagement, and do you go to schools or agencies or rehab centers? So I'm just curious about the audience and the scope of the audience and the agencies that you would work with. And
Yeah.
that's for yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I can say our clients are only specifically within Mercer County.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we may occasionally go to visit community spaces that might be outside of the county, but
Mm-hmm.
typically we try to really stick within the community. I
Mm-hmm.
think because a lot of also what we're trying to do is to continue to build up those close communities for our clients.
Okay.
Yeah, for us, the short answer is we work with everyone. So we have, for example, specific programs with veterans that are in transitional housing in the Veterans Haven. So Veterans Haven has two different locations that we work with, one in Glen Gardner, which is Hunterdon County, and the other is down in like Vineland. So it's way further south. And we're in Summit, so way further north. So those are probably the furthest away that we've worked with, at least in my time here. But we depending on the programs, right? Also, because, we do field trips and we have partnerships with different schools and things like that. So, for example, I put out an education brochure every year, and that we do kind of select what counties we're going to send it to because realistically, we're not going to get a school from, Camden to come all the way up here. But um, organizations, when we're talking about what organizations will partner with, usually, I mean, within the state, if like I said, the furthest south we've gone thus far is Vineland, and only because, I that means I have to find people in those areas to be able to facilitate, and that's not always an easy task. But I'm not opposed to working with people that are not just right next door. We do a lot of work with, Elizabeth schools and things like that, but it's really what the needs. It's in that partnership kind of assessment phase when we're trying to see if this would make a good partnership. Distance is not the highest up like deterrent at all.
Mhm.
If it makes sense, we'll do it. Yeah, so.
Okay. Thank you.
We do have one question in the chat. So this is from Sam. And they ask, what is the best way to get the word out about community events? What has been successful?
That is a I feel like that is the evergreen question. We're always trying to figure out what's the best way to get the word out. And we've tried different approaches. Sometimes, for specific exhibitions, we've had exhibitions that are focused on a specific community. So we will reach out to members of that community and like invite them to come to see the shows. For programming, again, it's really dependent on the program itself. We use social media as much as we can. We do have a wonderful marketing I think assistant director of marketing is his official title. And he is, always trying to find new ways to engage our students and our community at large. And I think it's been a real trial and error. Sometimes social media works, sometimes it doesn't. The having our brochure and having kind of mailers as well. We do send like postcards and things like that for certain events. When we're partnering with organizations, we just did a pop-up. Vivid Stages just did a pop-up show here, and I think Vivid Stage is in here somewhere. But
Mhm.
they just did a pop-up show here, so it was kind of like twofold marketing on our end and their end. So really making sure that if we're doing a partnership that is going to be like an open to the public type of thing, that we are doubling our efforts on either end. But yeah, that's kind of it's really just we try it all. I do see that someone Perry has had his hand up for a little while. I just want to make sure
Yes,
he's
I
not
was just
muted.
going to call on Perry. Hi, Perry. Up, you're muted.
Can you hear me
There
now?
you go. Yes. Hi, Perry.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good.
I have a question. Rachel from the Visual Arts Center in Cultural City.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I have an organization called the Rhythm and Blues Preservation Society in Atlantic City, which is a nonprofit organization where we preserve Black music culture and educate on Black music. I'd like to know, does your the Visual Arts Center, as far as doing anything in terms of workshops on Black music education and Cultural City, would you be interested in working with my organization to do workshops for the youth during to teach them on the preservation and impact of Black music culture?
Thank you so much, Perry, for that Sounds awesome. I music is my preferred artistic medium. So so I love hearing of music organizations. If you wouldn't mind, I would love to share my contact information with you and we can talk a little bit more about what that partnership might look like and what your needs may be. I'll drop my email in the chat for you, and if you want to reach out, we can have that conversation.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions, thoughts? Arlene. Hi, Arlene.
There we go.
Hi, Arlene.
Nice to see everybody
Great to
today.
see you.
I'm Arlene Romoff. I sit on various committees, and John and I have been working on the arts for quite a while.
Hmm.
My issues today, this wonderful program and an opportunity. Um, I am deaf and I have cochlear implants, and so hearing loss is my issue. So I always look to see what accommodations are being provided for people with hearing loss. But in the arts community where it's visual and hands-on, it's really good. You know, I don't have to listen. So for example, I've participated in MoMA and Museum of Modern Art where we did hands-on artwork and you didn't care about what you were listening to. So between that and also your senior population, which does have a lot of people who are experiencing hearing loss that may or may not be acknowledged yet, though they don't even know they're being impacted by it. And arts is great too. And seniors are always have the time to participate. So those are the two things I kind of want on the radar in any program just like this. And if you can just address that. I think, um, well, there were groups of seniors and there's a lot of attention being placed on seniors now. I know that because I'm part of the target audience now. And it's really popular and the programs are innovative, but it's like the lists there are out there. So that senior population is addressable. They're out there and they have the time and they are interested in this case, the arts. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you have any perspectives on that, I would like to hear that as well. Something that's beyond what we would just assume is happening.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have a large senior population in our student base, because we are we work regular regular hours, and seniors, as you're mentioning, they have the time to come and take a class,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
time and interest, right? Sometimes, when you're in that kind of middle of life, you're really busy and you're really, you don't always have the time to pursue these types of activities. And then you hit an age where suddenly you have all this time and you can go back and, hey, I used to like to paint, so let me go take a painting class, or hey, or I've always wanted to XYZ and now I have time to take this class. So I definitely agree. We have quite a large senior population, and within my community programs as well, we have specific programs that are tailored to our senior communities here in town. So, for example, we do a once a month class at the Summit Community Center, specifically for our seniors. That is also led by one of our teachers that is a senior herself, has been working here at the Art Center for 30 plus years, and is an artist in her own right. So it's a really nice kind of community there. We also offer classes at Lantern Hill, which is a senior facility here in, I think, just outside of Summit.
So when you say classes, you're talking like a hands-on doing art,
Yes, yes,
not
hands-on.
art history.
So we don't have an art history offering
Okay, yeah,
currently. We've had it in the past.
okay,
I believe we've offered those types of classes in the past. Right now, all of our classes are really geared towards either skill building or kind of art as a tool for healing. So it's all of them are art making. We do have public programs that are not necessarily making. It is artist talks, performances, things that you can attend and kind of view our exhibitions and things like that. Um, but nothing right now in terms of like art history or theory or anything like that.
okay. As you're speaking, I'm kind of brainstorming because for people who have more difficulty coming to something in person,
Mhm.
and in the winter, if you're older, all sorts of things. And if you're talking about doing art history, something that's everything verbal, then the p problem of hearing loss comes up.
Mhm.
Now, right now, I'm doing this session on Zoom with fantastic captioning. The automated intelligence it just went through the roof right now. They get all names correct. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's totally crazy. And it's instant, it's 1 second delay. So for people who have physical disabilities getting to you, hearing disabilities, understanding. That's a perfect way to do Zoom. I mean, it just is. And it's not cheating. It's okay if you don't get them there in person. I'm thinking out loud here because
Yeah.
the pioneer in the room that when we first started out, we had to have a human being captioning this. There wasn't this. It was very poor. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. But now it is crazy good. I mean, like I take some religion classes, and there's specific terminology. They know it. I mean, it's really crazy. So I'm very partial to this, the way this is done. I think it offers some opportunities for people who uh, would find it just difficult to come to the art instead of having the art come to them.
Yes. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Our partnership with Lantern Hill came out of exactly that. We have a lot of students that come to us from Lantern Hill, but we have a lot of students there at Lantern Hill that can't physically get to us anymore. So they reached out to us to see if we could bring something to them. So we do now have we do kind of 6 week chunk programs with them where we go to the facility and those people that would not be able to get to us. Are able to participate in that way specific to Lantern Hill. I see that my executive director also put a comment in the chat there.
Oh,
Um,
let me see.
we also do have an offer, although it hasn't been used. This is a bit of a challenge that we've encountered, but we do have one of our art therapists was having hearing loss. Issues and was working with an elderly population, so also was having trouble they were having trouble hearing each other. So she asked for an accommodation. And what we did was we got a tablet that could do live captioning. So we do have that offered. I will say, outside of that setting, we haven't. I try to mention that we have it, and I haven't had anyone ask to use it, but
Okay.
it exists. It exists, and it's here if people need it. And what was the other thing that I was going to address? I think that was it for now.
Memory loss. Just kidding.
Mhm.
Well, I'm struggling with that right now.
So before we go over to Lisa, who's had her hand up, Karen, I'm just wanted to just see based upon some comments Arlene made. Did you have anything you wanted to offer?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's an advantage to the visual arts in that um, sometimes the most important thing can be how we're modeling the activity. Our staff is always trained to be able to try to teach and work with our clients in a variety of ways of communicating. We talk a lot about prompts. Are we can we verbally prompt this person, or do we need to model it for them and provide a physical prompt? Um, Even beyond hearing loss, you know, if this client isn't able to read, how can we provide a visual aid where they might be able to express their needs that way? Or if they're not able to speak to us, how can we help them to communicate? And we do actually specifically have a senior program within our day programs. So a program specifically for our seniors to go to where they can really get the best care, which might be smaller groups and more individual attention from our staff.
Great. So, Lisa, thank you for being patient. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you too. And no worries. So I'm coming at this from the performing arts side.
Hmm.
And I guess my overarching question is, in this, I'm going to speak more to what you've been talking about with individuals with more mental or emotional challenges. We have done very little, and I will tell you why. I feel intimidated by it. There's sort of two sides to this. One is sometimes there are artists out there because we're presenters and we're booking artists. There's artists out there who say, "Oh yes, we do this." And I feel really ignorant of it, so I don't know how to trust. Do they know it? Do they know what they're doing? Is it, I just book it and let them do it and hope it's right?
Hmm.
And then there's also the part of, with all due respect, I don't want the tail wagging the dog. I would rather engage with the artist that it's what I want to do artistically and not feel like, oh, I'm just doing this because this person says they do this, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I guess in a very rudimentary sense, if you were starting out, first of all, thank you for Culture City. Had never heard of them, so I've learned one thing today.
Hmm.
I feel like perhaps I'm trying to figure out where to start. Because I will tell you, and I don't say this to make fun of my colleagues, but anytime I try to address these things, everybody looks at me like I have three heads. You want me to let them touch the art? You want me to let them go up on the stage? And I am very ignorant. So I guess my sense is it's obviously part of this is education and training on our part that we need to work on, but maybe checklists or because I will tell you the only like if I were to stop and really think about working um, with special populations, it's been in the education outreach with specific populations that we have schools that we work with. And one time I made a horrible mistake, um, and I learned from that. But in about a month, we're going to go in, and I'm very excited about this, but I'm also nervous about it. We're going to go into our partner school, but these students are in the school in their place with their teachers who are trained and understand what their unique learning challenges are. But I'm bringing an artist in to do a series of workshops for 3 days. But this person is trained not only as an artist, but also in this field with these cognitive challenges. And so I'm
Hmm.
hopeful it's all going to go well. Um, but I feel like this has been in these very controlled environments as opposed to the general public. And that's where I guess I'm just looking for any advice. If you were starting, and you were in my situation, what would you do to figure out how to start? Like resources,
Hmm.
checklists,
Yep.
additional training, that kind of thing. Thank you so
I think
much.
a good place to start is to speak to some organizations who have a little bit of a track record in this because you can learn from their own experiences. I know several organizations before they even offered anything, they really found partners for their own education, right? As you had mentioned, but also partners that could actually help in the design of a program to help come up with the criteria of a teaching artist, that these are certain um, qualifications that that artist is going to need, whether it's through performance, whether they're going to do a class, really work with partners. I know, I don't know if Jack's on this call, but I know early on when Paper Mill was starting to work with this community, it was all about their own education first, and then bringing people in to be part of the process. So they weren't doing any of this work alone. That to me is, and see who else is out there doing the work. If you can go witness something that an organization is doing, I think that's always so you can see firsthand how how they're interacting, how they've designed a program. So doing all that homework up front before you offer anything, I think is um, would be a good bet. So Rachel, I see you nodding a lot, so jump in.
No, I'm just in total agreement. I think it really starts with educating and educating yourself, your staff, and reaching out, as John mentioned, to organizations that are already doing this work, and doing it successfully. I think also asking about what challenges those organizations that are doing it successfully have had, because it's not just like, okay, we did everything perfect and now we have this perfect program. And, it often goes through many iterations. And often the first iteration of it is not, it's you're working out the kinks. And
Mhm.
so I think, kind of trying to be a little unafraid of making a misstep, and when you do, owning that and saying, we thought that this was the right way forward and we didn't think about this other aspect, and so now we're addressing that type of thing. It can be so intimidating to step into this work, especially if this is not something that you have a personal connection to or you haven't encountered before. So I completely feel that kind of like, oh my God, how do I even start? But I think really reaching out to those organizations or to the populations that you're trying to bring into your existing audience, is really a good step forward. You don't want to make assumptions about people's needs. Let people tell you what they need.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen, anything to add? And then we're going to jump to Melanie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say something similar, which is that I think what I was, that if you're maybe specifically working with someone with maybe developmental or intellectual disabilities, which I think was what we were kind of mentioning, is that you can also really speak with those individuals or with their caretakers to really see what, they might need to be in that class. Maybe it's that they're in the class and they need to bring a support staff or a caregiver with them to help them participate. I think that's one of the best ways that you could really create an accessible environment, is to allow them to bring someone if they wanted to. I think that you, like, speaking with the people within this community and their caretakers as well, is a great way to start structuring those classes or workshops or performances. At the Arc, we often hold plays and shows and talent shows. And I would say, in a more kind of casual sense, coming to those events with the idea that, things happen and that's kind of part of the fun, is just, it's unpredictable, and you get to see what people have come up with. And when you go into it with an open attitude of just seeing, like, what can we produce and what can we do tonight, and let's enjoy it together, I think you
Mhm.
come up with some really good programming.
I hope that was helpful, Lisa.
Extremely. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
good, good. Hi, Melanie.
I just wanted to make an offer to Lisa. So, Lisa, I happen to be going to the UK in a couple of weeks for 10 days of training. And I'm actually training in the theater space, although we're a visual arts center. And the reason I'm training with theater, I'm training with this group called Vamos Theater in Worcester, UK, who I did a workshop with in New York City early in the fall. And I was so taken because it was all about nonverbal communication with people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And after I did the workshop, I was like, I want everybody in my staff to do this workshop. And I reached back out to them and they were like, well, we're not coming to the US, but we have this program in the UK. Why don't you come and we'll kind of teach train the trainer kind of a thing so you can bring it back to your staff. So I'm going there for 10 days and I would, if you want to meet, I would love to download everything they're doing because their program, a lot of their program is about working with people with different accessibility issues and also offering theater productions for people with accessibility issues. And we're also going to the Royal Shakespeare Theater to see one of their accessibility programs. So I would be so happy to just like when I come back just to do a download with you on everything that I've learned.
That would be amazing.
If you're interested.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
And Melanie, it might be great for you to maybe we can design one of our roundtables
Yes.
maybe in the fall to just have you share this experience and what you've learned because I think it would be helpful to a wide range of our colleagues.
Yeah, I would love to do that because a lot of the
Yeah.
stuff I'm going to learn is I'm not a theater person. We're not a theater organization, so
Mhm.
but I'm happy to share out everything.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's really important. There's a lot of good accessibility work going on in our own state. So as we had mentioned before, I think really going out and seeing the work that is being done by a wide range of our organizations is really important. I think that's probably the best education is to be able to see firsthand and ask questions of our colleagues because they've been down the path before. So there's going to be lessons that they've learned along the way. And you can, if you have that experience, you can then think about how you can modify and take it back to your own organization. So take advantage of the good accessibility work that's happening right here. And if you have an idea, and I would really love to participate in X service that an organization is doing, please reach out to Kat or I. We'll be able to connect. We have a pretty good handle on what the field is up to. So please, connect us or connect with us, and then we will let you know what's happening. So, Arlene.
Yes, I just wanted to mention since you're going, Melanie, to the UK and to learn from them, I wanted to give you a bit of history that in year 2000, the Theater Development Fund had a program of captioning of live theater because John McEwen and I established that in New Jersey in 1996. Okay, and the Theater Development Fund in Manhattan had taken on that program of captioning performances. But the UK didn't have captioning, and there were people there who wanted it. And so TDF went on a trip. I was part of a group of about 10 people literally bringing the screen to London. And the Royal Shakespeare Company was the first that was captioned. Antony and Cleopatra with the captioning on the stage, and one of the West End comedies. And if you look on the website of Stage Text, that's the name of their organization that provides captioning and other accommodations. There's a film on that website of the founder and the history of stage text and bringing captioning to the UK, and there's a picture of us in there. So, I mean, this is art history, international accommodation. Uh, it's just wonderful just to tell you that. And this was the year 2000. All right.
I love that. Thank you so much for like letting me know that because
Yeah, and they
I
had
am going
come
to
to
like
us and
let's
met us in Times Square and everything. And yes. And of course, all us old guys have kind of retired, but that's
Mhm.
the origin of Caption Live Theater in London.
I
And of course,
love
they all
that.
talk to each other.
Oh,
Mm.
thank you so much for sharing that. I love knowing that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, you really should. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Good luck to you. You'll love it there.
We have a few Cultural Access Network announcements, but before we do that, just wanted any last minute thoughts, questions? There was some good resources dropped in the chat. Thank you, Kat, for that. So just a few announcements. So our Cultural Access Summit, the annual event that we do every spring at Grounds for Sculpture, well, we're going back. It's on May 28th, which is a Thursday. And as you know, we do recognize organizations that have demonstrated leadership in access, meaning these are organizations that are really role models in all aspects of accessibility at their organization. And then we also identify organizations that are doing some innovative work with around accessibility. There might be a particular program or approach to accessibility that is innovative, unique. So those nominations, you can self-nominate or you can nominate an organization. They've been out now for several weeks, and the nominations are very, very slow. So you can find that. Maybe, Kat, you could quickly drop a link to the nominations in the chat. But we extended the deadline to next Wednesday. It's really simple. It's just basically writing a couple of paragraphs on why you feel that organization demonstrates leadership or demonstrates innovation. And we have several organizations on the call this morning that have received this recognition over the years. But we really encourage you, if you feel your organization or you know a colleague that is really doing exceptional work, either in a leadership role or there's one particular element of their programming that's really innovative in accessibility, please, should only take 15 or 20 minutes. It's basically a very simple narrative. It's one question. That's it. And your contact information. I mean, we've made it very simple. We do have a review panel that will review the nominations, but we'd love to hear more from the field. So again, you can self-nominate or nominate a colleague. So the Leadership Award recipient receives $1,000 to be used towards their access programming. And each innovative organization that gets an innovative recognition, they each receive $500 towards their access programming. So please, if you can, please spread the word and take the time. Also, we're very excited about the summit this year. Our educational discussion in the morning is going to be all about universal access, right? There's so many things that we can all do under accessibility, but it's beneficial to all, right? So we're going to talk about this important topic from a couple of different approaches. So, for example, Arlene's going to be talking about how important captioning is, and that's a perfect example of universal access. So we're really looking forward to that discussion. Then there's a wonderful lunch. And that's also where at the lunch is where we present these awards. So please nominate and hopefully you can join us also on the 28th. Look out for that announcement with all the details that will be coming out probably next week, but it is May 28th at Grounds for Sculpture from 10 until 2. And then, Kat, do you want to share what's coming up at next month's roundtable?
Oh, yes. Next month, we will be talking about dementia-friendly experiences. I'm very excited about this roundtable. For those of you that don't know, there is a conference, the Leadership Exchange in Arts and Disability Conference that happens every year. This year it's actually in Philadelphia, so very close by. And last year I went to a lot of really great panels on dementia programming. And so we thought it would be really great to have a roundtable to explore this topic further. So that will be next month's roundtable, and that is happening on April the 2nd at the same time from 10:30 to noon.
Yeah. So if you haven't, some of you I know register for the whole series of these Access Thursday roundtables, which is great. But the announcement for the next month's roundtable will be going out shortly. But you can always go to our website, to the New Jersey Theater Alliance website, industry resources, and click on Cultural Access Network, and you'll see everything right there. So you don't have to wait necessarily for the email announcement. You can just go right to the site and you'll see everything there. Kat, since you're on a roll, I'm going to go back to you to kind of lift up the cultural access calendar and remind people of that opportunity.
Yes, so we have a calendar where you can go and you can post all of your accessible events. You can go on there and you can choose what sort of event you're having, if it's something that's sensory friendly, if it has audio description, captioning, any of those things, you can go on and put those. You can post those to our website. In order to do that, you will need a poster account. In just a moment, I will drop the link for the poster account request in the chat, and all you have to do is fill that out. It sends it to me. I help you get set up, and then you're able to go in anytime and post your accessible events to our calendar. And our marketing manager, Lauren, she has all these great stats and everything for the number of visits that we do get to the calendar. I don't have all of that in front of me, but I will tell you that it is very successful. People do visit it, and people do find events through it quite often. So please take advantage of that as a resource that you have to get those events out there.
And we also have another exciting opportunity for our visual arts organizations. We're going to be offering audio description training specifically for the visual arts. We've been doing it for a few years now, audio description training for theater, but we are going to be doing it for the visual arts. And so we want to thank our friends at Montclair Art Museum who are going to be hosting this training in June. That announcement will be going out very shortly as once our instructor confirms the date, but it will either be the 6th or the 13th of June, one of those Saturdays. So keep your eyes open next week for that announcement. Again, always check the Cultural Access Network section of our website too. We put everything up there automatically. So if you feel you've missed an email, you can always check the website. And Kat, do you want to share a little bit about our instructor for the audio description for visual arts?
Yes, absolutely. So our instructor, her name is Nefertiti Oliveras. She works with I believe it's the Audio Description Collective. She's a fabulous instructor. She was actually my mentor. I went through a program through Indivisible Entertainment to do access coordination for film, TV, and other live events. And she was my mentor through this program. She's absolutely lovely. She's a great teacher. She's audio described for everything from museums to movies. If you've ever listened to audio description for movies, commercials, whatever, you may have heard her voice at some point. She's worked on many, many things. So we're very, very excited that she will be joining us.
Yeah. So look out next week for that email announcement. So please let me please thank so much Rachel and Karen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and providing such wonderful guidance and tips from your experiences and uplifting all the good work at your organizations. We have many members of our Cultural Access Network Committee on today's call, so we thank them so much for their guidance that they provide Kat and I in the development of all of these programs. Of course, a thank you to the New Jersey State Council on the Arts for their continued support of this initiative. and to all of you for joining us this morning. So thank you again. Get those nominations in. Kat just put up a poll. Would love to hear your thoughts about today's roundtable. That's helpful as we plan for future roundtables. So we'll leave that up for a little while. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you at next month's Access Thursday. Thank you, everybody. You have a wonderful, wonderful, and safe day.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.